There are all these do's that are connected with art, and I have to do it. Well, the studio used to be a part of a contractor's garage or barn, whatever that he stored his equipment in and supplies in. And I bought it, turned it into a studio, cut holes in the roof to get light in. The new Woodstock has been real good to me. I have neighbors that sneak into my yard and cut my grass. I don't even know who they are half the time. I mean, it's such a beautiful place to be. Just to drive in here from Cazenovia, there are 2 or 3 different ways to come in. It's like a real reward every morning and every evening when I drive in and out. It's what's been so positive for me was thinking about what I'm doing and having the inspiration or that creates the motivation and the focus to do what you want to do. The intuitive part of art, I think, is the most important because it's the part that stays with you. No matter what you do, you always had that intuition. And that intuition carries over not only to when you're making art, but when you see art or when you see something that can be part of your art, or when you see something you want to reflect on. Intuition demands exploration. You have an instinct, something's over that hill. You got to go over and check it out. There might be something there. Artistic intuition, it's just something that comes through the air to you, comes some magical process that tips you off. So I'd go to gardens, I'd sit in the middle of a garden, I'd do these small paintings. Then I'd bring them out to my studio and do large interpretations of them. And that freed me up and loosened me up for the ultimate goal of making them into really large paintings. The largest in the series were triptychs that have been shown in the Everson, the Albright Knox, and Munson William Proctor, all around the state. And that scale is 8 feet by 12 feet, but it consists of 3. And I like the 3 because I could put it in a corner, 2 in one direction, 1 in the other, and you could almost walk into this garden. My interpretations of what I see, what I perceive, what I feel, there's a feel to them too that gardens and landscapes give me. It's synesthetic. It's like everything combined, the smell, the texture, the wind. It's the totality of it. It's the whole essence of what I see. It's not just trees and grass and flowers. It's everything, and it's everything as one thing. Paintings I'm working on now, I call them collage paintings. I don't even know if that's a verified art term, but they are collages on canvas, and what is put on canvas is paper, or archer's paper, that I paint on. And I paint different textures, different personalities, different feelings that I want to put into the painting. And I make a great big pile of those, as many as 20 or 30, tape everything I'm making. To my right, I have a great big bulletin board that's gridded. If I'm working 8 by 10 feet, I'll mark off 8 by 10 feet, and I'll put masking tape around it, so that's how big I'm working. And I do the whole painting on the board. And then I tear pieces out of them, and I edit everything into one painting, and then transform it to canvas. So I have someone that does the gluing for me, otherwise it'd be a nightmare. That would take me a phenomenal amount of time. So like an artist, I want to just do the painting. I don't want to do the work.
Good. It needs to go to the right.
This is my co-conspirator, Allison Markell, who is a genius with color and composition. We've worked together on 3 different shows.
Not everyone can collaborate, but our personalities mesh so well, and we can not even say words, but our instincts will go to the same thing about how to position feature objects or color balance. Because we're both trained artists, I think that helps. But the fact that our egos don't get in the way is even more important.
We work together just wonderfully, and the result has been really good. One series we did on horses was her show, because she's a horse person. She has a horse. Working with her, I'd put down something, on a horse. She says, no, leg can't go like that. She'd change it. She knew how a horse functioned.
Oh, right. Here you go.
This series of paintings is called Reflections.
Okay, now put it on, and they'll balance. There.
Is that it?
Yep.
This was motivated by driving by ponds and looking at how the flowers and trees and everything were reflected in the water. And I told Allison to go look at reflections, find reflections. Reflections is a theme, and it's about how not only sunlight or moonlight is reflected on water, it's about a circumstance that once happened, and you can reflect on it. You can say, oh, oops, I wish I could do that again, or I wish I could do it differently. It's a statement about looking back, about remembering, and it's about, also for me, it's about cherishing certain elements of life that you've experienced, and you want to talk about it. So you're reflecting on things that you've done, been through, lived through, seen, experienced, and now you're finally reflecting it in a work of art. I'll just take some out. Then I do a lot of poured paintings where I just pour the paint on paper and twist the paper to get the right feeling and plan it so that the paint cracked and created all these wonderful textures that I wanted to repeat from what I saw in nature. only more so. They're done in a sequence of pouring paint on really good paper. And sometimes the pouring is done one right on top of the other if you want a bleeding. But if you want a solid color, you have to wait until the paint dries. Then you put your next series down. The big thing is the control you need and the timing. The timing is critical, so you can predict what's going to happen. You can control the timing by using fans or heat lamps or just the sun itself, and open a window and let the wind blow in. Most of these were done because I had a tremendous amount of space at Syracuse University to work, and that gave me the opportunity to have many of these going at the same time. There's so many serendipitous kinds of things going on in them, and I think that's the thing that made it real interesting to work in this medium. I knew exactly how the paint would flow over top of that. Now, that doesn't match what I did here because I had a shape that was up like this. But that's what you did. You made these shapes, shaped the paper on it, and then did the pouring. I was intrigued with feathers. I started collecting them. And the best feathers I've ever found are on women's hats. So I go to flea markets and look at all the women's hats. And if I saw one that was really fantastic, I'd buy it just to get the feathers off it. This was a series of horizons. I came home once and the color in the sky was just unbelievable. I couldn't believe how beautiful it was. The thing I like about them the most is they're big and very simple and look like quick experiences with paint. But it's just the opposite. It takes a tremendous amount of time. This is the very bottom of the painting. There are layers that go on top of it. When the surface cracks and opens up, this is some of those bright colors will resonate from those cracks. Putting a lot of layers of paint on, letting them dry between each treatment. You have to do at least 200 or so. Spend 2 or 3 years making mistakes with them and finding out, taking advantage of those mistakes and using them as part of your visual vocabulary. Well, I was told once by an instructor, you can't have favorite colors or you're not going to do good paintings. You're going to paint colors. Yeah, so he broke me in a habit. I used to love light greens and pinks. And all my paintings look the same, I guess. You know, if we just went by the book, no, that wouldn't work. You got to rewrite the book. You've got to do it your way. And sometimes, most of the time, it's the wrong way, but it's a way. And you discover, you search, and you find, and you resolve. You come to conclusions that are magical almost. Yeah, I surprise myself sometimes with what I find that I did. Look back work. Wow, what was I doing then? Yeah. What'll happen is this whole thing will break up like a big iceberg, breaking into hundreds of little pieces. After you do that several times, you start to understand everything becomes automatic. And the process really is subconscious almost, because you're not thinking about what you're doing. You're doing it because you've done it several times, several thousand times, and you know what to expect. Well, they make a transformation. They go from one state into an entirely different one. The colors that end up on top are, in fact, shared by what was underneath. The idea is to get a lot of cracked surfaces that allows color from underneath to interact with the surface colors. But what I like about it is it's Christmas morning. Every time you come, they dry overnight and then you see what you have. So I wanted to one-up the landscapes after a while. So I started creating all kinds of bizarre shapes and colors and textures. And now my paintings got better than nature. So I thought. But I realized as I see spring coming on, nature bats last. Nature's better. Well, this painting I think would be appropriate. The idea of art for me is you're doing something that's very personal. You're making a personal statement that should help open the eyes of other people to see something they've never seen, to feel something they've never felt. I can't explain it. If I'm not down here at least 3 times a week, 4 times a week, I am an unhappy person. I need to be around my work, and I need to be working. I need to be getting there. I don't know where it is. It's a different place every day, but I gotta get there. I've gotta be in the race. I've gotta keep running. I mean, I can't dream or even think about not having art as a way of finding out who I am, what I can do, what I can't do, what I want to do, what I will do, what I must do.